Hey guys, so I'm working on this gas tank for this Triumph T595, and if you're thinking about picking up one of these classic bikes, here's something I want to show you. That is the fuel line inside the tank when this bike was basically last ridden about 7-ish years ago. That high ethanol fuel begins to break down, and that's in essence its water line, if you will. You can see the vent tubes up there, or I should say the overflow tubes up there. But take a look at this. I'm in the process of just copper brushing, if this thing will focus. There we go. In the process of just trying to get some of this stuff out. And originally the idea was just to get the thing running to see if it was going to run, and it is running amazingly. But, well, we don't want to clog up the fuel filter or the sock with a bunch of this stuff as it starts to flake off. So I'm kind of being a little bit more meticulous with this as I am waiting on some epoxy to fix this little guy over here. It's leaking. So let me see if I can get you an idea for what it looks like inside the tank to show you what I'm up against with that. All right, so you can see my mirror right back in there. There's a little reverse nipple, belly button, I guess. This thing will focus in on it. Yeah, we're having a hard time focusing. There we go. You can see that back there. That little nipple is where that insert fits into. Basically, what I'll be doing is with a brush backfilling that area where it protrudes into the tank. I'm going to be backfilling that with epoxy. It's going to be a fuel-safe epoxy, mind you. It's a epoxy that's used for tank repair for plastic tanks. There's two different kinds, and if you get one for metal, it won't stick to this. But I'm gonna need to go in there and just kind of by feel, because you can't see anything, sand that area down a little bit, give that epoxy some purchase, and start backfilling that in with epoxy. And I'm gonna make a preemptive measure on the other side to do the same, which is a lot easier to get to. But I just wanna make sure that it's backfilled with some product just in case there might be some fatigue there that could potentially cause a fuel leak. There's one other thing I wanna show you guys though. So I've shown you that little bit of debris in here and how it's just kind of sloughing off now from the tank. The gasoline will actually start to dissolve that, but well, let me just show you this. This is what the fuel pump assembly looks like for one of these bikes. There you go with that. But this was originally just absolutely caked with that varnish. And even still, this is a brand new fuel pump. Look at that sock. Now the sock is fine, it's flowing fuel just fine, and the filter is just fine as well, but even as it is dissolving some of that varnish over time, I'm gonna have to be mindful on making sure that I am running a clean filter and a clean sock on this thing. Probably have to swap it out a couple of times over the next year or so worth of riding just to make sure everything's clean. By the way, it's real important that you get the lengths of these hoses just right. Actually, I probably could have gone a little bit, well, maybe a little bit shorter with this top one. I don't think I could get much shorter with the bottom hose there. Main reason why is because you want your line of sight to be basically like that, where you can get this hose into that part of the tank. So if you don't do that, you just can't really get the thing into the tank. So the funny thing is though, is that when I had previously done the fuel pump and filter for this bike, had a little bit longer hose and it was impossible to get out without cutting it. And it's just in general kind of a fidgety thing to get out unless you cut the main hose. So in test fitting, I was going, can I get this thing in there? And I accidentally installed it and have been over here kind of freaking out because I was kind of too lazy to go buy another foot of fuel hose. So anyway, be mindful of that though, because it's going to be a real bear to get in if you're working on one of these T595s. But to get it out, just snip the hose. Don't try to fight it. You'll end up butchering up or carving up that hose trying to get it out anyway. So just have your 5/16 fuel line ready to go. Oh, and make sure that it's fuel injected, pressure rated. So in other words, at least 30 to 50 PSI. And again, here's the bike, pretty well blown apart. But I wanted to show you guys one of the things I wanted to adjust. You can see right down in here, That is the throttle cable adjustment at the throttle body. This bike has two different places to adjust that throttle cable tension. One is down there. The other one is the one you're very familiar with, the one up here. And one of the issues down here that I found, I had a slight hang on the throttle, which was weird. I just blipped the throttle and it slapped back shut. That adjuster was actually loose. I don't know how I managed to loosen it. I thought that I had tightened everything up, but that was when I first started taking this bike apart. I may have accidentally forgotten to retighten it. But anyway, that is now tight. There's my adjustment up here. And there is your function of the throttle. Stuff I'm doing to this bike here with you guys hanging out. Here we go. You can see the cable moving. Anyway, that is what I'm up to there. But no, you've got perfect snapback. Actually feels a little bit better too. But there you go. All right, guys, I got to get back to work on this thing, but just wanted to keep you in the loop as far as what all's going on with this thing. We're kind of back to square one, if I'm being honest, with that bike being torn apart the way that it is. The only thing that I had off of it before when I was first starting to work on it were the side fairings. So, progress. Anyway, that's a wrap. Adios.